we're kind of 1 week ahead at the moment compared to the normal schedule. So even though last week we did a kind of revision and a review, I'm quite happy to carry on doing a bit of a review this week as well and go over any problems you guys have got. So just
Can
to
we
kind
start
of
week one then?
of course we may have to, just to kind of as a kind of reminder, let me just show you guys something. Just go through this a second. So apart from a few subjects which I will point out, this is everything that you guys have done. I know it's not Christmas 2020, but this was the same kind of pause in the program that we had with the other group as well. So far you've done the Japanese sentence structure, done the difference between verb groups 1, 2, and 3, state verbs, imasu and arimasu. What else? Why is it not coming up? Oh, there we go. The possessive, no. References, ko, so, a, like koko, soko, asoko. The imperative, this means I have to do something. This was that nakareba narimasen. E adjectives, na adjectives, adverbs. The volitional form, so this was like ikimashou and ikitai desu. Requests, so te kudasai. Negative requests, things like shinai de kudasai. Present continuous, so I am doing something now. This was the yonde imasu, tabete imasu. The potential form, so I can do something, I'm able to do something. Interrogatives, so this is asking questions. Conditionals, like the ba conditional, the tara conditional. Days of the week and days of the month. Tamani and yoni, and I realize that yoni is still quite cloudy, but we will come back to this. Experiences, the ta koto ga arimasu. Stating intentions, so like iku tsumori desu or ikitai to omoimasu. These ones we did 2 weeks ago. Intensifiers we did, we've done this, haven't we? Yes. For example, this is difficult to do, it is easy to do. We haven't done the passive yet, that's coming up next, and we haven't done the causative yet, and the last one over here, and the giving and receiving of verbs we need to do as well. But apart from that, we've basically done all of this stuff. Now, I'm not suggesting that it should be perfectly natural and easy to say all of these different ways of speaking, but this is all you need really to have a basic conversation. If you want to go as a tourist to Japan, there's nothing more you need than this really, unless you're going to go and make a police report about something. But otherwise, this is all the stuff we've done. Now, let me first ask: are there any subjects here that you don't remember doing, or would like to have a quick revisit, or don't feel very comfortable with?
I wasn't joking when I said I'm going to start again from the beginning.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with plugging in the putting your earphones on and listening to the exercises on YouTube.
Yeah, I really do think it's going to be really helpful for me to
Sure.
go over everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this brings up a question about what can you do to expand your exposure to Japanese during the week when we're not doing the lessons. So I've already had this kind of chat with a few of the people about, you know, all the different apps that there are, all the different YouTube programs there are, podcasts, and there's a few actual sort of television programs to watch on what's it called, Netflix and YouTube. There's other sort of things like using exercise books like this one to help. Of course, what I want to say, and what I'm being careful to say without sounding too heavy-handed, is that just doing these classes even twice a week isn't going to be enough. You've got to do some kind of extra practice, even if it's like 5 or 10 minutes a week. 5 or 10 minutes a day. You've got to somehow what's the word? Expose yourself to Japanese. I don't mean going to the streets and expose yourself to Japanese people.
My teacher told me to do this.
Like the bloke in the kilt.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yourself to That's a good joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any problems at the moment, guys, that you would like to revisit now? I'm sure anything that you say, other people will go, oh yeah, I wanted to do that as well. Don't feel.
Andy, please.
Yeah.
About conditionals. I'm not sure the rules and so on.
Sure.
If you can remind, please.
Yes, certainly. So I'm going to let me grab the screen back a second, and I'm going to explain kind of the basic structure for how to decide which conditional to use first, and from there we can then look at what the actual rules are. So this might be difficult to do on a normal screen. Let me just do a different screen. Hang on a second. Maybe I'll do this on here.
What session number is this? Is this 21? Was it?
It is 21. Yeah. Right. Let's just get rid of this a second. So I guess the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, which type of conditional should we use? And the answer to that is to do with timing. So, for example, the best one. Let's just use two really easy to visualize examples. If you are coming to my house, then please phone me. There's the first one. And then the second one is, if you go to Japan, then please buy me some nori. Okay, these are our two kind of examples. Now, what we have to do is think about the order of events that are inferred by these two conditionals. So, for example, this will be the verb, or this will be the condition rather. In each case. So the condition here is coming to my house. Or come to my house. This is meant to represent time, of course, guys. That's why it's an arrow. And this one here is go to Japan. Now, we've then got this kind of consequence at the end, or this outcome, or this request here. Please phone me. Okay, so this is gonna, let's just mark this with a little action, something like that. Phone me. This one down here is buy me some nori. Now, what we have to do in both of these cases is ask ourselves, in relation to the condition, when are you actually asking for this to happen, these special favors? So with this one here, coming to my house, of course, phoning me is happening before you come to my house. But in this case here, the buying some nori is after you have arrived in Japan, after you have gone to Japan, after you are in Japan. Okay, so that the timing of these is slightly different. Now, this will dictate which of the conditionals we use. In the case of the tada conditional, this is the tada implies the past tense because it's got the word ta in it, which is ikimashita, tabemashita. This ta in Japanese will normally be used at the end of any kind of word to mean this is happening in the past. Now, what I've said to the senior class when we've done the use of the word toki to mean when, like when you do something, is please don't think of ta actually meaning the past tense, something that happens in the past. Try to equate ta, let me just do this in another thing up here, just to make it really obvious. Ta equals completion. It means that something has been completed. Not something is in the distant past, but it's been done. So anytime that something has been completed, if I use the word ikimashita, this both means that I've just eaten, I've literally reached the end of my meal, but it can also mean that I ate last week. But the common factor about these two time references is that the eating has been completed. If we have something in the present or future tense, like ikimasu, for example, this means not completed. This is the main difference between the two. It's about completion and not completion. And then if something is in the present continuous tense, so something like te imasu, like tabete imasu, this means now going under completion. Now it is being completed now. It is underway. Okay, let's go back to tara. Implies a sense of ta. So this means that this condition, go to Japan, must be completed before you carry out the request. Okay. Harry, you're looking confused.
I'm fine, sorry, a really urgent work thing came in, so I'm just trying to do it on the sneak. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So in this case, where completion of the condition has to be done first, then you have to use tara, because it's saying when the condition has been completed.
Andy, sorry to ask a really stupid question. In the above one, example one, does phoning have to be completed before going, or is that
no?
marking up the wrong tree there?
So no, what the completion is, it's the condition. So the bit that comes after the if bit, that's the bit that must be completed.
Right.
Yeah. Let me just space these out slightly.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just also, just to make it all really, really clear, I'm just going to color it in. I know that sounds kind of trivial, but most people find it easier to identify.
Primary school level, I'm there.
Well, I mean, we're learning a new language, which is what you have to engage that kind of primary school, learning things right back at the beginning to do this. Now, if we want to make the request or the outcome of the condition or the consequence happen before the condition, then the answer is we can't use tara. We can't use tara. We've then got a choice. So all other conditionals are either not completed, and the only other conditional we've learned so far is the ba and nara. These two are not, they suggest not completed, or they're not time sensitive.
And the traffic lights are not all.
We'll come to that in a second. We'll come to that in a second. That's something else will come to that in a second. Okay, so we've got a choice depending on this timing on the order. Any questions so far, guys? This is our first step.
Can we make the Japanese version of that sentence with tara?
Yeah, sure. So let's do it. So Tachi, do you want to have a go?
Excuse me?
Would you like to have a try? of number 2 first. Let's do the tara first.
日本に行きたら
Not ikitara, but make the te form of iku.
行きたら No, 行きた
so-
行き no, no.
So if you say please go, if you just say please go, you would say itte kudasai, wouldn't you? Itte kudasai. So the tara is itta, the plain past
行
form.
ったら
Yeah, ittara. Nihon ni ittara. Okay, and the rest of it?
海苔を買ってください
Yeah, exactly. Nori o katte kudasai. Exactly this. Now, what we usually do with the tara conditional is if it's hypothetical, if you don't know if the person is going to go to Japan or not, but you're just asking on the kind of off chance that somebody is going to go to Japan, then we should start the sentence with moshi. This means if, just simply if. Let's do this one as well then. Nathan, would you like to go? Yeah, go ahead, Rama.
To be clear,
Yeah.
Using moshi it's not true, but if you don't use moshi, it's a kind of when you go to Japan, please.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So this, if you know that the person is going to go to Japan,
Okay.
then you can say it without moshi because it's not hypothetical anymore.
Okay. Understand. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly this. Nathan, would you like to have a go of this one here using the ba conditional?
気に来れば呼んでください。
Yeah. So yonde. Let's use the telephone. Denwa shite kudasai. Now, this would be okay to use. I mean, this is the correct form of the ba conditional. Unfortunately, we can't make this sentence using the ba conditional for the 3 reasons which I'll come on to in a second. So we have to use it's not the ba. If we can't use the ba and we can't use tara, then we have to use the nara conditional. So can you do this with the nara conditional, Nathan?
If I refer back to my notes, maybe.
Okay.
So it's the plain form plus nara, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Moshi.
You don't need with nara. You don't really need moshi.
Okay. So it's uchi ni kuru nara.
Exactly. Perfect.
And wa shite kudasai.
Exactly. Good. Yeah, that's exactly. Okay, so we've mentioned that we couldn't use the ba conditional with this. Now let's just quickly.
Just real quick.
Sure.
Is nara? Does that mean something different to the ba form? Or is it just a rule that you use one or the other depending on the?
Yeah,
rule?
it's it's basically a completely different kind of conditional. It's normally lumped in with the ba conditional when ba is being taught, because when we come to using the ba conditional for nouns, for example, if it's a festival, matsuri, and then if you use the ba conditional, you'd say matsuri de areba, matsuri de areba. But this is kind of quite long for most people, so they normally just drop this and say nara instead. Now, the reason why you can simply do this is because a noun is not time sensitive. The word matsuri, meaning festival, there's no completion or non-completion. It's simply a noun by itself, so you don't need to worry about the timing of it. Tachi?
I'm usually taking my notes in Turkish because it's making way more sense, the sentence structure is saying. But now I'm confused. And I don't expect that you have the answer, but what I'm confused is you said for the first you don't need moshi. And in the second we used moshi, and there I'm confused because in my understanding, the first one needs moshi more because if you come to my house, if you are coming to my house, And in the second, when you go to Japan, it's not, yeah. If you say it should be completed, because I'm thinking in Turkish, you can't say if and then once you're there at the same time.
Right.
In Turkish.
Okay. Yeah. So you. This is I mean, this is the problem with any language, is that sometimes concepts of one language won't translate back into the home language. So you literally have to think about almost a series of images that if the, for example, the tara conditional, if you have completed your journey to Japan, this is what it means. If you're going to Japan, when you have arrived in Japan, then please buy me some nori. It's only a rule. It doesn't really mean that there's a kind of a different sense of reality. It's just that the rule is, if the request is going to happen after the condition has been completed, then you must use tara. We just have to think this is a rule.
Okay, why not we are not using moshi in the first one, which
simply that we because let me just write this down a second so that I can. You've got some notes as well. So tara has two functions. One is completely hypothetical. Completely hypothetical, in which case we need moshi. And one and two is it's a timing thing, to mean when rather than if, in which case we don't use moshi. So as an example, when you reach 18 years old, then you can drink alcohol. Now, if I'm saying this to, for example, a 15-year-old person, I say, when you reach 18, then you can drink alcohol. I can use tara. But if I say moshi 18 ni nattara, this now makes it hypothetical, which is kind of like, I might murder you, but if you survive and you reach 18, then you can drink alcohol. So there are some things which are, what's the word, inevitable. When the sun rises, I will get up. I don't need to say moshi when the sun rises. If the sun rises, I can just say when the sun rises. So in that case, I won't use moshi. Yeah.
I also still don't get it, because obviously the first one is very much like, if you're saying to someone, if you're coming to my house, please call me first.
Yeah.
Really sort of, to me, implies nothing's inevitable there. It's sort of.
Okay, so we need to separate three types of conditional.
Right.
Let me write these down so that we've got them.
May I say something?
Because I'm thinking of the word if in isolation. If you're going to do
Sure.
this, can you do?
May I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think in my language it is easier to understand that if nara means in that case, it's not when, it's a little different, so it's easier to use in the first case.
Yeah, maybe.
Because of that meaning, if it helps anything.
Yeah. Let's just make sure we separate these out. Tara, ba, and nara. These are our three conditionals. This one, the first one, requires completion of the condition. These two don't. These are what can I say? These are pre-completion. And this also has these two functions, 2f, one with moshi and one without. So one means if, and one means when. So Zandy, to answer your question, the first one, where we're using nara or ba, we don't need moshi because we can't, because ba and nara don't have these dual functions of meaning both if and when. They only mean if. Right. So we don't need an extra marker to say no. This is the hypothetical conditional, not the time-based when. We don't need to make a distinguishment using either putting moshi there or not putting moshi there. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right.
Are we okay so far, guys?
Yeah, I think I'm getting it.
Okay, now let's look at why I said to Nathan we can't use the ba conditional with this one here. So there are three limitations with ba conditionals. Now let me be really, really clear here. All three limitations you can think of as switches. And if all three are switched on, then you cannot use ba. If one of them is switched off, then you can use ba. All must be on in order for ba to be not usable.
And natural consequences.
One more time, Yeri?
If it's natural happening, then you don't need the traffic lights. If
Sorry,
you
I still don't understand.
come from up from the house, you die. If it's happening, certainly something. Jump into the sea, you get wet. If you jump to the sea,
yeah. So yeah,
you can use all the red lights, and it's still okay.
Yeah. But we still need to go. We still need to know the three red lights because
of course
the natural consequence is one of them. Right. So the first one is the condition is an action verb. It's a little bit smaller. 2.
Object is the same.
The subjects are the same. This means both the subject of the condition and the subject of the outcome. And then 3, the outcome is a preference or request or prohibition. Something which is basically about a subjective experience. You can, if you want to, of course, memorize these in a different way. And instead of making them Boolean AND gates, you can do them as Boolean OR gates. You can say, if the condition is not an action verb, and if the subjects are not the same, and if the outcome is a natural consequence, if any of these are switched on, then you can use ba. But I'm just going to use this in this negative way, that you cannot use ba.
But I think one thing, is there any case when you can't use nara?
Yeah, if it's something that needs to be completed first, you have to use tara instead.
Or ba, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't really a problem if you're in this area here, where the completion isn't necessary first, then there isn't really much difference between using nara and ba. I mean, why not just use nara anyway? Well, nara, as you said, kind of means in the case of. And it's not particularly good for using when you're talking about natural consequences. If you're talking about if you jump in the sea, then you get wet, then nara sounds funny if you use it. Better to use ba.
Yeah.
So if this particular outcome here, if this particular regulation here, the outcome is a preference, request, or prohibition, you should use nara. You should focus on this and think, oh, this means nara. But if this one isn't fulfilled, and you've still got a choice to use ba or nara, then if this happens to be a natural consequence, then you should really use ba, because ba is all about hypothetical circumstances, really.
Yeah, that's a good rule. I have to put it up.
Okay. Right, let's look at let's go back to Nathan's one and just look at this then. So the condition is an action verb. So for this one here, if you're coming to my house, then please phone me. The condition. So Zandy, what's the condition in this particular sentence?
Going to the house.
Yeah, exactly. So it's coming. This is an action verb.
An action, yeah.
So you might say, well, what do you mean? How can we not have an action verb in this case? Well, the answer is if it was an adjective, for example, if tomorrow is hot, then please wear a coat. Moshi, sorry, not moshi. Ashita atsukureba koto o kite kudasai. So for that, it's not an action. Atsui, it is hot, is not an action verb. So we could use it in that case. If it is convenient, then please phone me in the morning. Again, the word convenient, benri, is not an action verb. We can use it in this case. So that's the first regulation. The subjects are the same for both the condition and the outcome. So who's the subject of the condition in this case?
I am, and I'm the person that I want to be phoned.
No. If you're saying this,
no.
Sorry. If you're saying, sorry, Yadi, be quiet a second. Yep. Say that you're the person to which this is being said to. So you're the person who's going to the house.
Yeah.
Then you are going to be the subject of the condition. And then this point here, please phone me. This is also addressed to you. So in both cases, you are the subject of both the condition and the outcome. Okay.
Yes.
Effie? Oh, sorry. Were you just adjusting your glasses then? I thought you put your hand up. Sorry, you just adjusted your glasses. Okay. So far, both of these lights are switched on. Both the condition is an action verb, coming, and the subjects are the same. If you are coming, then you please phone me. And then the outcome, is it a preference, a request, or a prohibition? Yeah, it says please phone me. This is a preference, or this is a request rather. So both 1, 2, and 3 are all switched on. So this means we cannot use the ba conditional. The 3 red lights are on. You cannot come. You cannot use ba. Ramon, as you're the requester for this section, is this okay so far?
Yes, it's a little bit more clear. I have to work on this.
Sure.
But it's less cloudy.
Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna try and draw. Have you guys all made notes of this if you need to? Yeah, I'm gonna try and now, what's the word? Summarize this in a little path map. So the first question is the outcome, let me write this again. Does the outcome require the condition to be completed? If the answer is yes, then you have to use tara. Wouldn't it be easier if I actually had a white, literally a blackboard with some chalk to do this? God, it'd be so much easier. Dun, 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 to here, and this is the answer is yes. And then the question from Tara, the question is, is this hypothetical? Excuse me. Is this hypothetical or inevitable? Inevitable. Hypothetical or inevitable? Evitable. Okay. If it is, if it is hypothetical, use moshi. If it is inevitable, I hope you guys are picking up the Team America reference there.
Oh no, I missed that.
Is inevitable. I'm sorry. Inevitable. Use moshi. Destruction is inevitable. I'm sorry. Can you say that again? Inevitable.
I don't remember that bit.
It's Kim Jong Un.
Oh, okay.
Kim Jong Il.
Yes. Yeah.
If it's hypo, then we go this way. And if it's not hypo, then not. Okay, so far. Okay, let's go. We've basically covered all of we've covered all of the possible combinations now for this side of the tree. Now let's say if the outcome does not require the condition to be completed, then we then have a choice of tara, sorry, ba or nara. Let's just draw this in. It's going to be ba or nara. We don't know which. So we have to ask the three regulations. Are all three limitations of ba switched on? Really quickly summarize this. Conditional, and subject. Sorry, condition and outcome. Subject the same. Condition is an action verb, and outcome is request, preference, prohibition.
Can I just ask, this is a sort of English thing, your use of the word prohibition?
Yeah.
When I see, because the other two, request and preference, I sort of get them as, but then prohibition to me seems something you can't do, is it?
Yeah, I mean, this would actually be an order that you must not do this, like saying, if you don't do your homework, then you can't go to the circus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you drink too much beer, then you cannot compete in tomorrow's Taiko. See, I can come up with something relevant to you, Andy.
I think that reminds me of someone else who missed the practice the morning after.
No,
party. And I was told to go and speak to.
I can't believe who that would be.
Sorry, when has drinking too much beer ever been
An issue?
a prohibition for competing in a taikai the next day?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's always been an enhancing agent. So if the answer to this is yes, then you must use nara.
I used to have an employee who used to try and encourage me to drink at lunchtime, saying, "Your camera works much better when you're drunk, Simon."
And if the answer is no, then you can use ba. There we go. Not too complicated, hopefully.
So where it says use bar was if it's no, isn't it? That was.
Sorry, yeah. No.
Can you save this slide? I
Can
just
you,
can't
can
write
you
fast enough.
recenter it?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Let me. What I'll do is I will screen grab it now, and I'll put it straight onto. Oh, actually, or do you want me to share this with you as a link? I'll just chuck it onto the Facebooks, shall I? Onto our thingy.
I know it's off topic, but it's so fun to see how many tabs you have open. It's like millions.
Do you have a to-do list somewhere, Konstantina?
Yeah, I prefer to write them down.
This is my to-do list. I've basically got to work through all of these tabs before my life ends. It's not looking very likely at the moment, based on my current progress.
I do this with Messenger. Anything I want to do or look at, I just send it to myself on Messenger, and I have this. It's like a library of things I should do.
Also gets buried pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah, yeah, well, that's it. Has that advantage.
Okay, Ramon, is that okay now? I mean, this is about as much as I know about conditionals as anybody else, as I do. I mean, you know as much as I do now about conditionals.
Yes, it's much better now. Thank you.
Okay, just to be clear, because we've already asked this question, does the outcome require the condition to be completed? You can't use ba or nara for the past tense to suggest completion. You can't say ita nara or yonda nara. If you read this, then please do this. You have to use tara in that case. Yeah. Everybody happy to move on from this? Are you all happy? Okay, let me just test this then. Let's see, let's go to Konstantina. If I said keiki o sorry, no, let me say, oh no, yeah, I'll do it in Japanese first, and then you can tell me if this is usable. Keiki o tsukureba cream o tsukawanai de kudasai.
Tsukureba.
If you bake a cake, don't put cream.
Yeah. Cream o tsukawanai de kudasai.
Okay. Don't make it cream. Don't. No.
Yeah. But, can I make this sentence? Keiki o tsukureba cream o tsukawanai de kudasai.
I think yes. Is the subject the same? No.
Well, actually, that's not the problem. Are the subjects the same?
Yeah, if you make the cake, don't put cream. So
Right.
they are the same.
They're the same. So that's
it's
one light switched on.
yeah.
Okay. So we now have to go to the next regulation.
So
because-
if it's an action verb,
And what was the action verb in this case?
tsuku, but
No. Sorry, yeah, tsukuru.
tsukuru.
Mhm.
Is
that
it
an
an action verb? Yes, if you do. It's not going, it's not, but it is an action verb.
Going is also an action verb.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yes.
It's making, yeah. And
Yes.
then is the outcome a request of a preference or
Yes.
prohibition?
So we
Yes.
cannot use a ba
Right,
condition.
so we can't use ba. So we could use
Tara.
which one?
Nara.
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 Yeah. Why can't we use tara?
Because it's not hypothetical. It's because before you make the cake, you should not put the cream on, because if you make the cake and you put the cream, it's a no anyway. So we need to use the nara. It's the same as if you come to my house, call it before.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not to do with the hypotheticalness of it, because the question, what the original sentence was hypothetical. If you are going to make a cake, it's the fact that once you've made it, it's too late to then say, oh, don't use cream, by the way. It's I've made it already. Sorry.
Scrap it off.
Yeah. You have to use nara in this case.
So tsukunara.
Tsukuru-nara.
Tsukurunara.
Yeah. Effie. 早く運転すれば死ぬ可能性があります。
死ぬ? Kano? What was the rest?
可能性。Or for example, 死ぬかもしれない。
Okay.
死ぬかもしれません。
So first I have to say if it's okay. So if you drive fast, you might die.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I have to say if I can use ba, you use ba, right?
Yeah. So tell me if this sentence is possible. 早く運転すれば死ぬ可能性があります。
Well, I don't think it's possible. First of all, because because I'm not sure about the. I'm checking now the ba actually. If we can use the ba. So ba, it's an action verb. No, actually we can use ba because the outcome is not. It's like just a possible. Natural outcome.
Exactly. Yes, it's just a natural outcome. Yeah, exactly. So you can use ba in this case.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's fine.
Okay. Tachi, how about もしタイランドに行ったらビザが必要です。
Visa is something you should get before you go, right?
Right.
Then ittara is something implies that you're already there.
Correct.
It's not correct, this sentence.
Exactly. Yes, it's not correct. So what would you use instead?
Since there's a restriction and subject is same and going is action, so not ba, then only nara is possible.
Correct. Exactly this. Yes. You'd go down this route, wouldn't you? Ba or nara. Yep. Subjects are the same. Although you need visa ga hitsuyo. This means you need a visa. So yeah, the subjects are the same. Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to use nara. So what would you say? How would you make the sentence?
I wasn't in that lesson. Ikunara?
Yep.
Is it like Thailand no ikunara visa o shitsuyo desu?
Yes, perfect. Exactly this. Good. Zandy. たくさん稽古すれば RSI が起きます。
Okay, what was that? Okay.
起きます。sorry, 起こり、起こった。sorry, 起こります。RSI が起こります。起こります means to occur, means it will happen.
So, たくさん稽古をすれば、RSI 起きます。
Oh, sorry, it's 起こります。起こります。Sorry, I should say RSI が起こります。That's correct. RSI が起こります。
So, okay, so we're in the bar area.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying if you do lots of practice, you'll get RSI.
Right, yes.
So, does the outcome require the condition to be completed? I would say going to the top, to me, it seems like it does need it to be completed. Is that right? Am I going to go on the Tara line or?
It's a really good question, actually. So what we have to kind of ask ourselves is this thing about doing lots of keiko. Can the RSI, firstly, can keiko ever be completed?
Right. Interesting. No, it's endless.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's suggesting that, I mean, RSI could occur.
Yeah, it doesn't
after some, or it could occur during it, couldn't it?
Get it.
Right.
Even though this, yeah, so yeah, no, it's not inevitable, is it? It doesn't have to be completed to get RSI. Okay. So then we're into the bar. Then is the outcome and the subject the same?
If you do lots of training, you will get RSI.
They are the same.
Yeah.
The condition and action verb. I'm saying yes.
Taksan keiko sureba. That sounds like action.
Yeah. But the last one isn't an order or a request, is it?
No, it's a natural outcome, isn't it?
Natural outcome, yeah. So no. So then that can be sureba.
Yes, exactly. It can be.
Wow, God. It's a lot to think about when you're just trying to make up a sentence.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is why it's good to practice.
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
Wow, no, that's really good.
Yeah.
That was really good. No, I really appreciate that.
To be clear, actually, in this particular instance, you could use tara or ba. Both would be fine. You could use tara or ba.
Okay.
Yeah. Only that you'd have to do some keiko for RSI to occur. So you could argue that some keiko would have to be completed.
Right.
So this question here is kind of a bit.
So could I add moshi to the beginning of it? Then?
You could, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's like if you do that, you know, it sort of gets a bit bigger, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It's not inevitable, but it's hypothetical, and some has to be done. Maybe not all of it, though. Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, Yari, how about this one? Taksan keiki o, taksan keiki o tabereba futorimasu.
Okay. If you eat very much cake, you will be fat.
Yeah, you'll get fat. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling that you can use, but we have to think. Ba condition needs me, of course, because I eat and I get fat. Same subject.
Yeah.
And it have, if I get fat, I need to end it first. So it should be tara.
Well, if I was talking
Because
about,
if you don't eat before, you don't get fat. So
right, so this is why I say
the A should be,
just say
I have
Harry.
it. I don't know.
So just be careful about this point I said on the previous slide, that the ta form doesn't just mean past, it means completion, like finished, it's done. Now, in this case, if you eat lots of cakes, obviously just eating lots of cakes once won't make you fat, but eating lots of cakes on a regular basis, this would make you fat. Now,
And in that case, I have feeling that it should be, because you have to eat first before you can get weight.
yeah, but you could be in the middle of a process of eating cakes on a regular basis.
That's true. Then maybe ba is okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So it was. I think it's okay. Use in that way. You use tabereba.
Yes, yeah, you can use it, and the outcome is a natural outcome as well, isn't it? It's not a request.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I see what you mean. This
But
thing.
not with every guy. Some people never get fat.
True. I'm not.
They can eat anything.
Yes.
I get fat easy.
That's not. Yeah. Sandy?
No, I was just saying that's about the tar being completed. You know, that's the key thing, isn't it? Because, as you said, it's, you know, are you still doing this? Are you eating lots of cake? You don't have to have completed your complete lifetime cake consumption.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. I think the model example we had at the beginning, which was, if you go to Japan, please buy me some nori. This is the definitive kind of situation that it's impossible. I mean, of course, it's not impossible to buy nori before you go to Japan, but this request means when you have arrived in Japan, when this condition is done, then please buy me some nori. That's really the kind of point. It doesn't matter whether or not it's actually ever going to happen again, or if it happens on a regular basis.
In the future. And
yeah, exactly. It can happen time after time. But the point is that if the outcome is about saying this condition has to have happened first, then this suggests tara. Yeah. Okay. Sophie. 道路を渡れば両方を左と右に見てください。
Wow.
道路を渡れば左と右に見てください。
This is a request. So, condition, it's an action. So no, we cannot use ba.
Correct. Yeah. So the subject's the same.
The
condition
same, yes,
is an action. Yeah, correct. You can't use ba. Yeah. So what would you use instead? Could you use tara or nara?
No, tara, it's not the past, it's something that's happening. So nara.
Yes, nara. Yeah, exactly. You can't use tara.
Nara.
Because if you said tara, it would mean once you have crossed the road, once the crossing of the road has been completed, then look both ways. Well, this is crazy. This doesn't mean this. This means before you cross the road, please look both ways. Yeah, good. Harry.
Hello.
I'm just trying to think of a. In fact, I've got a whole list of them here, but I just should probably just look at them. Hang on. Hang on a second. Oh, they're buried somewhere. Let's see. Sake o nomu nara unten ga abunai desu. Sorry, I've just thrown that one together. It might not even make any sense. Osake o nomu nara unten ga abunai desu.
Okay. What was the first word?
Sake.
Sake. Okay, so no mush. Okay. So if you have drunk a lot of sake, you can't drive a car.
So just listen to the condition again. Sake o nomu nara.
Yeah, if you drink sake, you can't drive a car.
Yeah, yeah. Unten ga abunai desu. Driving is dangerous, this means, doesn't it?
Driving is dangerous. That's a tricky one, because in my mind I want to say if you want sake drinking to be completed, so I would say I would use tara if I was forming the sentence, but I don't necessarily think that.
Yeah, it's
so I would have to use moshi and tara.
It is. This one is quite.
But I think it now makes sense.
Yeah, this is what this
makes sense as well.
Yeah, so certainly this question here, this doesn't necessarily exclude this bunch, does it? Because you don't have to complete the drinking of the alcohol. You could be mid-drink. So it's not that that you mustn't use this group here, but it doesn't exclude them either. So you could use yes. You could say once you've drunk sake, then it's dangerous. Okay, let's see if this works. Moshi sake o nondara unten ga abunai desu. Does this mean the same thing? Once you have, if you have drunk sake, driving is dangerous. Yeah, this makes sense, doesn't it? This is pretty much equal to the same to the first question. If you are drinking sake, then driving is dangerous. Well, this is also pretty equivalent to the first original sentence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way in Finland the young guys drink alcohol and driving at the same time.
Well, providing you've got very dexterous knees.
Very danger.
I think it's not. If you can use your knees on the steering wheel, I don't think it's a problem. So this was a particular. This actually caused problems for the senior group when we first did this.
So either or, really.
Yeah, you could use any of these really. What about can
just
we
not ba?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so nara or tara both would be fine. Yeah, exactly. So did somebody have a question? I heard it. No? Okay. Ramon, don't go anywhere. Come back. Ramon, how about if you are going to take an examination, then you must study a lot. If you're going to take an examination, then you must study a lot.
So the first question is, the answer is yes. So, and it's hypothetical or inevitable.
So, Raman, I think you've misunderstood the first question though. So this is saying, if you are, for example, this year, if you are going to take an exam, then you must study a lot. So taking an exam, this is the outcome that needs to be completed. But you wouldn't take the exam and then study a lot, would you?
Yes, yes, okay. So, yeah, okay.
Needs to go this direction.
Okay, ba or not ba?
Yes.
Subjects are the same.
Correct.
The condition is an action verb.
Correct.
And the third is kind of preference. So we must choose nara.
Correct. Exactly this. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you should use nara. Exactly. Yeah, it's a kind of it's like a command or prohibition, isn't it? That you must study a lot. Yeah. So you would have to use nara. Good.
Can we have that sentence in Japanese then?
Sure, sure. So if I just say, if you are going to take an exam, then you must study a lot. Shiken o ukereba, ukeru nara, shiken o ukeru nara, takusan benkyou o shinakereba narimasen.
Wow.
Do you want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Shiken o ukeru nara, takusan benkyou o shinakereba narimasen. And then finally,
why is it narimasen as a sort of?
Oh, this is just an obligative sentence. This is saying you must study. Do you remember we did this nakareba narimasen jibba jabba lots of times? So narimasen is just like a it just means it's not good if you don't study. It won't happen if you don't study.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Was that always gets me in Japanese when you use that sort of negative thing, like. So then my brain's going, oh, you mustn't. My brain wants to go, you mustn't study, but no, it.
Yeah. So what I would suggest you do is treat this, anything that goes nakareba narimasen. This is just one thing. It's not a sentence. It's one thing that means you must. It just makes it obligatory. Yeah. Tachi, dozo.
I don't know if it helps, but it makes sense to me when I think about nakareba narimasen in English. We have a not situation, right?
Yes.
Not is negative and not is positive.
Yeah.
And nakereba narimasen reminds me that not. So na is positive.
Which means you must. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Dominic makes a positive name.
Yeah.
Because that's always confused me.
Okay, Nathan.
It's always strange when you're telling somebody what they mustn't do to tell them what they should do.
Well, it's like saying this particular example is pretty much saying if you don't study, you won't pass your exam. So shiken o ukeru nara takusan benkyou shinakereba torimasen. If you don't study, you won't pass.
Yeah.
If you're going to apply for an exam, if you don't study, you won't pass. You can put narimasen or torimasen or gokaku shimasen. These are all possible consequences. Right, Nathan, here we go. La 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 la. Ashita samui. I'm going to just think of something. Ashita samui nara. Kaiga ni ikimasen.
If tomorrow was cold, I won't go to the beach.
And can I say this?
So the condition is if tomorrow was cold. So the outcome does need to be completed, right?
Is there completion to being cold?
The condition needs to be completed.
Yeah. Does being cold? Does this need to be completed? Is it actually time? Is this first condition? Is it actually time sensitive at all?
No.
No. An E adjective can't actually be completed. You could say ashita samuku narimashita when it has become cold, but I just said if tomorrow is cold, then I won't go to the beach. So if it's just simply an adjective by itself, there is no pre-completion, incompletion, or completion to be tested. So tara, you could use tara. It doesn't exclude it. It's another one of these ones where it doesn't really matter which one you use.
If we go down the no column, then we can use ba because the subjects aren't the same.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One is the weather tomorrow and one is you. Excellent. Okay. Ramon, dozo. Are you muted still?
Yes. Yes. Is the verb for taking a test ukeru or ukeru?
So to apply for a test is ukeru.
Ukeru.
And to pass the test, there is a verb which is ukaru. Ukaru.
Ukaru.
But to be honest, I don't hear that many people using this verb.
Oh.
Most people say torimasu to mean pass.
Torimasu.
Or gokaku shimasu. Gokaku. In fact, if you go to Japan and you excuse me, and you take the grading, when the results board comes up, the title is Gokakusha, or just Gokaku, which means graduations. Yeah. Okay. I know. Look, conditionals are going to continue to be a little bit challenging because we have to kind of go through this this decision process each time we hear a conditional. But do you all feel like you understand this process now, even if you have to kind of do some more practice to get it?
A bit more.
Okay. I mean,
this little graph there has really.
There is some gray area which is difficult.
Some gray
in Nara and Tara. Is it happened or not, or is it completed or not?
Yeah. So I think.
But it's practice. We need practice.
Yeah. So the point, I think the main thing is this part here, this word. Does the outcome require the condition to be completed? Not is the outcome completed. Does it require it to be completed? That's the key thing. So the one about the weather, if it's cold tomorrow, I won't go to the beach. Does it actually require it to be completed? There is no completion to being cold. It's either cold or it's not cold. But the thing about it, when you go to Japan, you have to be there. You have to have made that journey before you buy the nori. Then this means there is a requirement. This is the key thing.
Yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah.
Sentence.
Yeah. If it doesn't
there, you can buy.
Yeah. If it doesn't require it, then it could be that you could use either. You have to look a bit deeper.
Yeah.
A study of semantics.
A little bit. Yeah. It's the fact that tara is in the past tense, which means that bit happens first before the outcome. That's the problem with tara.
The clue, though, as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Maybe on your chart on the right top, no, you could also put in brackets not necessarily.
Or not necessary. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Let's go back and go back to here a second. Okay, guys, any other subjects which you don't feel happy with?
Causative is the one you said we haven't done yet, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So passive, causative, and this giving, receiving bit here. Don't worry about it for a second.
I mean, I'd happily go over any again because, like, what we just did then was so useful.
Okay.
Randomly pick one. I mean, imperative. What was that? The imperative.
Nakareba narimasen.
Oh, the one we just did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so that's the imperative. I'm going to make a little note of that next.
Sorry. Imperative. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. No, nakareba narimasen is the obligative. The imperative is please do this. This is tek kudasai.
Okay.
Yeah, kaite kudasai, tabete kudasai, shite kudasai.
Have we done intensifiers, or have I just completely forgotten what that is?
You might have forgotten. This means easy and difficult to do, like tabe zurai or yomi yasui. Do you remember this?
I can't remember doing that. And I've only missed one class.
Sure, let's do
We
it then.
didn't do it in this group, yeah.
Really?
We passed it, yes.
I don't know.
And maybe that's why we're a week ahead.
We really didn't do it. I'm sure we did. Let me just have a quick look.
Was it like in the first 2 weeks?
No. Ah, sorry. No, maybe we haven't done it. Sorry, maybe we haven't. Okay. Rough.
Yeah, it's much later on. I remember
Okay.
that. Yeah.
It's actually supposed to be this coming week then. It's supposed to be now.
I think it was like 2 or 3 slides before the we did a review last week.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's 2 or 3 slides before or something.
Yeah, sorry. So this is then the last thing we did. This one here, stating your intentions. This is the latest new subject, isn't it? You sure we didn't do this? I remember.
I have in my notes a little bit about superlatives, like adding sugiru onto the stems of stuff.
That was just an informal note, I think. My feet are. Oh, maybe we didn't. Okay, maybe we didn't. I just remember recently Spiros doing the Makiwara ga kiriyasui desu or something. Okay.
It's after the slide with the kotoga. So.
Oh, maybe I've moved things around a little bit then.
Mm.
Okay. Right. So let's forget about intensifiers for a second. Then let's go back to. I don't know if I have to keep doing that. Stop sharing. Jibber jabber. Anything else apart from that then? I'm going to pick one. Tachi, dozo.
Just some practice sense.
Okay.
I think next class with tameni yoni.
Do we have to? Okay.
I kind of know the subject, but a few examples would be nice.
Sure. Okay. Right. Let me also then just do a kind of clarification, starting right from the top and making the difference between tameni and yoni. That's okay. So I won't do a decision diagram again, but I'll just draw the differences. Tameni means a few things, but we'll just assume that for now it means for the benefit of. And when you use it is when you have direct kind of control or influence, or if there is direct intentionality. So, for example, a good example is I went to the shops to buy a umbrella. So really simple sentence. There's a couple of ways of saying this. So, for example, Effie, do you want to get this? Comes from the advanced class slightly. What's the simplest way of saying this sentence?
Kasao. Wait, what's the simplest way? I think I would do it also with the tameni or something.
So without, there's an even simpler way than using tameni, isn't there?
Kasao. Kai. Kaite.
No,
something with like and like kai.
Okay, Constantina, dozo.
Kai ni.
Kai ni. Okay.
Kai ni. Mise ni ikimashita.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if let's make this even simpler. I went to buy an umbrella. Then Effie, you can do this even simpler now. Go ahead.
Kasao kai. what's it? 買いに行きました.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is a really, really kind of simple way of saying it. So we could make this a bit longer and say for the purpose of buying an umbrella, I went to the shops. In which case we would then use the tameni if we want to just make it a little bit more expansive. Constantina, dozo.
Okay.
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 I've got this. Stand back. I got this.
No. No, but anyway. Okay. Casa o tameni.
Casa o tameni for the purpose of umbrella.
No. Oh my Jesus Christ. The purpose of umbrella. I forgot how to do this. So tameni ikimasu. Casa ga. No.
No.
Oh.
Casa o.
Kao tameni.
Tameni.
Kao tameni ikimasu.
Yeah, mise ni ikimashita. Good.
I am went to, okay.
Yeah. Casa o kao tameni mise o ni ikimashita. So in this case, there is kind of two options. You can either say casa o kai ni ikimashita, which means I went to buy an umbrella. I went to buy an umbrella. This is really, really simple. This is really kind of making it a little bit more, a little bit more beefed up. But there are times when it's difficult to kind of go back to this simple version. So, for example, if I wanted to say I bought this tool to fix the car, you can't say kuruma o naoshi ni kaimashita. This doesn't mean anything. What? It doesn't have any sense. You can't. This doesn't really make any sense. So this is where we have to use tameni. So Nathan, do you want to have a go at this?
I start the sentence with to fix the car, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Kuruma o naosu yo ni.
No, we're using tame at the moment.
Oh, tame.
Yeah.
Tame ni. I don't know what the word for tool is, but
it's a dogu.
Dogu o kaimashita.
Yeah, exactly. Dogu o kaimashita. Really, really simple. So here we've got the benefit or the purpose, and then we've got the action that we did in order to fulfill this purpose or benefit. Okay. Now let's see. Let's do one more example, just to kind of. I bought this suitcase for a holiday. Let's see. Sophie, do you want to look at this?
I bought the suitcase for a holiday. Holiday, could we use Yasumi, or is there another?
Yasumi is good. Yasumi is good.
Kono nimotsu. No.
Hang on. What's the purpose or the benefit first?
Of the holiday. So, Yasumi. No. Tameni.
Good.
Bought cow.
Yeah.
I bought, so it's kaita.
But you got the word suitcase here as well, remember?
Nimotsu.
Which nimotsu?
Kono.
Yeah.
Kono nimotsu ga?
Something?
荷物だった。書いた。
Just use the mass form.
買う。買います。
Yeah, it's in the past tense, so
買いました。
yeah, 買いました. This is a verb, an action verb. This is a thing you're doing with the
Okay,
action
so
verb.
it's
So this
all.
is or, yeah.
買いました。
Yeah, so we can just say holiday for the purpose of a holiday. This is now a noun, isn't it? Noun. No tame ni. Verb. Could be plain. Sorry, could be present. Could be future. Could be past. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Now, so the shape of doing this is, as we've got on the previous slide somewhere, if the benefit or the purpose is a verb, then we don't need anything here. This is a blank. But if it's a noun, then we need no. Then in the middle of the sentence we have tame. And then again, if the provision, the service, the requirement is a verb, then we need ni. This is a verb here. And if it's a noun, then we need a no. This is how to construct it. So this is the benefit purpose here, and this is the action or the provision or the service that you do.
So my sentence is, I think, wrong. So we need tame no kono nimotsu.
No. This sentence here is a
okay.
verb sentence.
Buying the,
yes. Yeah.
buying the suitcase. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hi.
One example with no?
One more time, sorry.
Can we have one example with tame no?
Yep. Tachi, you can do this one.
Ah, この道具は
We're going to end up with a sentence the wrong way around here. So let me just rewrite this a sentence. A second. How do I rewrite that sentence? This is all fixing car. Okay, I'll go back to what it was. This is the tool for fixing the car. We need to just force, in this particular instance, because you've asked for this example, you have to force yourself into this format of sentence. So what is the benefit or the purpose?
Yeah. これは車を直すための道具です。
Yes, good. 車を直すための道具です。
はい。
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So with the naosu is fixing.
Yeah. Or healing, which is an important distinction to make if you're working as a car mechanic, but you drive past a hospital, to not go inside and try and heal people with tools.
The one with the elevator for the elderly is a nice example for
Okay.
the name.
Yeah, good.
Isn't it?
Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do it. This is an elevator. Yeah. Effie, do you want to look at this?
これは、
Mhm.
これは、what's the elderly?
You could just write Andy.
おじいさんたち。
So, お年寄り is a-
I have 年寄り。お年寄りのためのエレベーターです。
Yes, exactly. Elevator, something like that. This. Yeah. So here we've got otoshiyori. These
Is
are
there
the elder.
some-
Sorry, give me a second.
Yeah.
This is a noun. So we have no, tame, and then elevator is also a noun. So we have no and no. Okay, yari dozo.
Is there some good translation for the tame? What it exactly that word means?
Benefit, I think.
Benefit.
Mm. Which you write it. I mean, it's funny because the character for tame is actually used in in other ways. So it means the exact translation on eidict is sake, purpose, objective, aim, consequence, result, effect, affecting, regarding, concerning.
Yeah. How about the tame in kendo?
This
That's,
is different.
different.
This is a verb from tameru, meaning to accumulate.
Okay, tameru, yes.
Yeah.
So we can also say something like, あなたのために行きたいです. I'm living for you.
Yeah. I want to go for you. This is fine. And that's not tameni. Ikitai desu. Yeah, absolutely. You can use this. I think the thing we have to really focus on when using tameni, because the problem that's going to arise is, when do I use tameni and when do I use yoni? And all of the examples we've done so far, there is this direct intention between the outcome or the requirement and the action that you take. So if we go right to the top, I went to the shops to buy an umbrella. This is really clearly saying I only went to the shops to buy an umbrella. I didn't go to the shops in case there was an umbrella there that wanted to be bought. I went there to buy an umbrella. I bought this tool to fix the car. Once this tool arrived from Amazon, you can be sure that I fixed the car with it, because that's why I bought it. There was direct intentionality. I bought this suitcase for a holiday. Again, I didn't buy the suitcase because I need one and I cannot go on holiday without one. It's impossible to go on holiday without a suitcase. I bought the suitcase for a holiday. That's all it is. That's all this means. This is a tool for fixing the car, and this is an elevator for the elderly. It simply is. It's for their benefit. There's a direct reason why the elevator is there. It's for elderly people. So this is where we have to kind of really say positive intention, positive outcome, and this is the service that's provided. And if you just have that idea in your head and this construction, then that's really all you need to know about tameni, except for two more tiny little details. If the so-called benefit or purpose is either a negative or a potential verb, then you should use yoni instead. So you can't have a negative in this part here. You can't say, for example, shinanai tame ni seatbelt o shimemasu. I will wear my seatbelt in order that I don't die. You can't use tameni. You have to use yoni. This is the only regulation really about not using tameni. Yeah, go ahead.
That, you get that very nice sort of thing about tameni being for the benefit. then in a simplified way, yoni is...
Right, let me do that now then. So, yoni. Give me a second to just shuffle some things around on the screen.
Is it also implying that yoni cannot be positive?
Yoni can be positive, but it should be in the potential form if it is there. If you're going to have it in there. So I'll give you an example.
I have a good one here. You
Okay.
have said it.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Samuku naranai yo ni doa o shimete kudasai.
Good. Samaku naranai yo ni doa o shimete kudasai. Good. So this means, Yari, what does this mean exactly?
If it close the door, that they come not so cold.
Yeah,
My
exactly,
English.
Yeah, sorry, so that it doesn't become cold, please close the door. So look, the key point here is that this is naranai. This is a negative. Samaku naranai yo ni doa o shimete kudasai. This is the first point, which says this should be yoni. The second point, so first, let's just put this little title here, yoni. So the first condition is that the so-called benefit or purpose is negative. Okay. The second one, when the benefit or purpose is in the potential form. Now, it would be kind of trivial and clumsy to just make a sentence and put the potential form in that position and then say, okay, I'm going to use yoni because I've just happened to put the potential form there. What you should really ask yourself is, why are you putting something in the potential form? Why? Why is it in the potential form and not in the simple mass form?
Because it shows that you have to try to be able to do something, to be able.
Yeah.
It's not direct. Maybe it's because it's not direct like the tam and me.
Right, exactly, yeah. So it's not like you have direct control. Yeah. If you want to imply that there's more to do, there's more work to be done, it's not a simple task of just doing A to achieve B, then this suggests that you have the benefit or purpose in the potential form. So a really good example of this should be your kind of your go-to example of yoni is that, for example, so that people would know about tonight's art exhibition, I put up some posters. Now, why not use tameni? Why not use tameni? That's my question.
Is that because you can't control that people actually come?
Right, exactly. Putting up posters will not guarantee that they know about tonight's exhibition. It's to help them to know about tonight's exhibition. It contributes to it. It doesn't control it. There's not a kind of direct link between posters and them knowing. Exactly this point. Yeah. That's why this should have yoni. Minasan ga konya no bijutsu exhibition. Anybody? Tachi, as this is your job, I'm expecting you to say it's this. What's exhibition?
Exhibitor.
I definitely know somewhere in the depth of my memory, but I can't recall it now.
Okay.
Tenji.
Tenji, yeah. Kenji. There's an invisible Piotr somewhere here. Can you see him? You know your camera's off, Piotr?
Yeah, I'm working.
皆さんが今夜の美術の展示を、no, it's got to be potential が意識 to be aware できる so I've now got the potential. This is in できる to be able to ようにポスターを乗り付け書きました。I hung some posters 書きました。This could be 意識 or it could also be 知る。知れる。意識できる。or 知れる。We had another slightly grey example before when we practiced this, which again, your choice of whether to use tamani or yoni, you're not slaved, you're not enslaved to a rule here. You may wish to emphasize what you mean, what the nuances of this sentence. So the sentence was, in order to work in a Chinese bank, I will study Chinese. Now you have a choice, and your choice, whether to use yoni or tamani, will give this sentence nuance, give it some unwritten meaning. So the two meanings are, first meaning is, I already have a job, I already have employment with the bank, but I have to learn Chinese before I start. Or meaning two, just in case a position comes up in a Chinese bank, some Chinese bank, any Chinese bank, I will learn Chinese so that I can work there. If it's one, this is tameni. If it's two, then this is yoni. One is talking about direct intentionality and purpose. One is talking about the potential. So one would be translated as, who wants to have a go? Lamont, do you want to have a try?
Well,
So it's actually only this sentence you need to translate actually. So think about this first sentence here in order to work in a Chinese bank.
So the purpose is the benefit is to work in a Chinese bank. So
Exactly.
Ginko no Gokuko? Chugoku. No Ginko.
Oh, sorry, that means a nut. Ginko.
Ginko ni.
I'll put ni for a second. It might be there. Let's see how it goes.
There, yes. Hataraku tameni.
Very good. Hataraku tameni.
Chugoku go benkyou shimasu.
Yeah, exactly this. This is all it is.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was just a choice. You use tameni, which means that you have to, basically means you have to learn Chinese because you now work in a Chinese bank. So this is expressed by tameni. And then,
excuse me. May I use ために中国語を勉強しなければなりません?
Yeah, yes. Actually, this is kind of implied.
This is the meaning.
Yeah, it's kind of implied. Yeah, しなければなりません. Yeah.
Thank you.
It basically means I am studying Chinese because I work in a Chinese bank and I have to I have to study Chinese. I have to be able to speak Chinese. Yeah. Sandy, I know you're probably feeling a little bit unsure about this, but try the second one. Just use the model of the first one. Make the relevant changes.
Okay. So second one. 中国の銀行の銀行で働く.
So this needs to be in the potential form.
Yeah,
the
yeah. Oh God, I don't know. Yeah.
If we instead of using hataraku, if we use shigoto suru instead.
Shigoto.
How do we turn shigoto suru into the potential form?
Not sure.
So suru, in all its cases, whether it's shigoto suru, ryori suru, tennis suru, iaido suru, benkyou suru, unten suru, suru always becomes dekiru.
Oh, okay. Hatara dekeru?
Oh, no. If you're going to use the hataraku instead, you need to turn this into the potential form by making the ku becomes a. Remember?
No.
Ke becomes ke with ru at the end. Hatarakeru.
Okay. Shigoku no ginko de hatarakeru. Yoni.
Good.
Chigoku go o benkyou shimasu.
Yeah, good. Exactly. Chugoku go o benkyou shimasu. Now, this doesn't now have this implication of shinakereba narimasen that you have to. It's saying I'm choosing to. I'm choosing to study Chinese so that I can work in a Chinese bank if an opportunity arises. Yeah. Okay, let's now just finish this part off by talking about the construction of yoni. Before yoni in a sentence, there can only be, in this case, when we're using the yoni in this particular context, there can only be a verb. There can sometimes be an adjective, I think. No, the adjective is in the last part. And then here, I think this can only be yoni. So there's nothing before it. And then there only can be a yoni after it. In this particular instance. So this will be a verb or an adjective in this particular usage. There are other ways of using yoni, but we are not studying them today because we haven't done them yet. Okay, does that make tamani and yoni a little bit clearer?
So just to clarify one little thing at the top there where it says the benefit or purpose must be negative.
If it's negative, then you should use yoni.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be negative.
No. It doesn't have to be if it's either a negative or a potential, then you should use yoni. These are this verb here.
Oh, sorry.
In the construction, this is either negative or potential. If it's not, then you should use tamani, in which case you're saying something else.
Okay. So
yeah.
But there is also adjective, I think.
One more time.
You have told us the one, for example, Yozu ni naru yo ni keiko sinakucha.
That's still a verb at the beginning there. Jozu nu naru is a verb, isn't it? Yeah.
So what would be a negative example? Because obviously the poster thing was a potential, the learning Japanese was a potential.
Sure. So, for example, nebo shinai you ni mezamashi o sette shimasu. Nebo means oversleeping. And mezamashi is alarm clock. And conveniently for us, sette means to set. So this means in order to not oversleep, I set an alarm clock. If this is a negative here, you can't use tameni. You mustn't use tameni. You have to use yoni. Tachi, dozo?
I guess there is no no situation.
There is, but it's a slightly different meaning. So if you want to say you have to cut like Tanaka-sensei, you can have no yoni. For example, you must cut like Tanaka-sensei. Tanaka-sensei no yoni kiranakadeva narimasen. But yo no, this is something of koreba Tanaka-sensei no yo no. You can use no after it, but it just means it doesn't put your meaning the benefit. It means the likeness of the similarity to. Yeah, it's a slightly different use of yoni. There are, I mean, like 6 or 7 different uses of yoni. This is just one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, even though it's quite tricky, even though it's kind of cloudy how it's used, it's important to start learning it quite early because it's used a lot.
Wow.
Sorry, I found one example that we've written months ago about the tameni. In order to not die, I must swim. And we have done it with tameni, and I think this is wrong.
This is a mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the full sentence?
In order to not die, I must swim. In order not to die, I must
Sorry,
swim.
I have to run. Bye.
Okay, cheers, Harry. Bye. In order to not die, I have to swim. Yeah, this would be this should be yoni. Yeah, this was a mistake. Yeah.
Because I think we had a problem and we revised again the tameni yoni with a lot of the examples. We erased them and we did it again. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, is that fairly clear for now? Yeah. Cool. Good. Okay, let's. I'll just save this. Actually, it might be useful to keep for a time. Okay, we're basically at the end of the class, guys. But if you've got any final problems or questions, I'm happy to spend a few more minutes just answering quick ones. I mean, what we did at this time in the original class, we actually had a test, and it wasn't a test; it was an assessment. It was a self-assessment, so you could see which areas you were strong in, which areas you needed some more practice in. If you want to do this assessment, it's an online assessment that you do with me on Zoom. We can do it, and then you'll end up at the end with something that looks like this. Let me just show you. It's not pass or fail. It's just simply a sorry, give me a second, guys. It just simply tells you where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. Where is it now?
Work on those goddamn TEF forms.
Yeah, so it just gives you an indication as to where you're strong and where you need to put more some more focus. If you want to do this, then I'll put a questionnaire on the Facebook group, and you need to say yes or no and apply for it, and then I'll set a date, and then we can all do it together. It's not supposed to be
quiet.
No, it's not supposed to be kind of grinding or anything. It just helps you to sort of, you know, there's time pressure to do it. But the idea is if you can't do a question if you can't finish it in say 15 seconds, it means I need to go back and do a bit more revision of this. What I don't want you to do is to think every single week I've got to go back and revise everything all over again, because you probably don't. You probably have you almost certainly all have strengths and you all have some weaknesses, and it's just good to prioritize your time on certain things.
Are we gonna do one again for the senior class? I don't want to. I need to be mentally prepared before.
So this is the point. I don't want you to prepare for it. It's not fair on yourself to mentally, but to do some study beforehand, some short-term memory study, do the test, do really well in the subject that you actually don't know. You've just learned something, and then after the test, you forget that topic, and then 1 month later, if I say to you, Constantine, how do you do the objective prerogative, and you go, what? It's no point doing revision. The idea is to know what you can do now, what's natural, what's easy for you, and what things are your bête noire, what things are absolutely terrible for you that you just definitely don't want, you can't do. That's the purpose of the assessment. Not to pass. There's no pass or fail. There's no pass mark. Tachi, doesn't.
I was going to ask about the PDF because I saw your video about how to benefit your different classes, and you said you are with the most advanced group at slide 80 something.
Yeah.
But the file I downloaded is around 40 something. So are you updating it constantly?
So when you say the PDF, do you mean Tom's PDF? Tom de Boom's PDF?
No, I mean Japanese corner PDF.
Oh, slides. Hang on a second. We're up to. Let me just share this with you. Oh, it was on that one. Valuation.
Because I downloaded a month ago, or maybe even earlier.
We're up to 84.
So you are updating it in the Facebook folder as well?
No. So let me just quickly have a look at that a second, because it should only be a link at the moment. If it's a file, then you should ignore it. I didn't actually mean. Sorry, give me a second.
I think I had the same back months ago, because I also downloaded that, but it was exported into a PDF, so it was not the link, and you had to resend the link to me in the slides. Okay. So it was not the slides.
Right. Just a second.
Okay.
Where are the slides? It was in the files. It was in the files
if you
section.
Want me to share it, I can do that as well.
I can't see
Shall
the
I
slides.
send you the link?
I can do the link, but I just can't see the slides on the file section.
Maybe it was exported into something else, so it's not the slides that are constantly updated. It's something that at that moment was exported, and it was just 40 slides, for example.
Right. Okay.
That's what I had in the beginning.
Right, sure. Let me just send you the link now then. Hang on. I'll post the link now on the Facebook group, just so that everybody has it. Kurwa. This is the link to these slides, which are constantly updated. Okay, posted. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Any other questions, guys? Any problems? Moshi nakereba owarimashou ka? Moshi nakereba owarimashou ka? Does that sentence make any sense at all? Moshi nakereba owarimashou. Well, if we drop moshi, nakereba, if there are no questions, let's finish. If you have no questions, let's finish. No, Nakareba. This isn't an action verb, so we can use nakareba. Nakareba, 質問がなければ終わりましょう。
はい、お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
And
お疲れ様でした。
two
ま
2
た
minutes.
ね。
Sure.
ありますか？
はい、あります。どうぞ。
Yeah, I was just speaking to Jock yesterday, and I've been invited by the Maltese Kendo Federation because I spent like 10 months out there training with them and had all this content. They're doing a seminar.
Sorry, Sandy. Sorry, guys. This is the end of the lesson. Actually, if you want to leave, you can.
Do you want to stop recording it if you want it not to be on your video?
Yeah.